All right, so last night we got the creator experience server videos for Firefly, so now we finally have access to her entire kit. So today I'm mainly going to give my full analysis and breakdown of Firefly's kit, and then at the end of the video I do want to talk about whether players who might have either a lot of pulls saved up or are light spenders, if they are able to get another 5-star on top of getting Firefly, whether they should go for E1 or the signature light cone. So starting out here with her kit, also shout out to Pride One as well, they have the entire kit here, and I'm going to go a little out of order to try to make things make more sense because she does have a bunch of stuff in her kit here. So starting out with her basic attack, nothing crazy about it, just deals fire damage to a single enemy. You're pretty much never going to use this because her skill is where all of her value is for her normal state. So with her skill, she's going to consume 40% of Sam's max HP and regenerate 60% of Sam's max energy, which is really good because, as we're going to see with her ultimate in a second here, she has a very high energy cost. And this skill is going to deal fire damage to a single target enemy. And similarly to other HP drain mechanics, if you don't have enough HP to sustain this, then your HP will be reduced to 1. And when you use her skill, you also get a 25% action advance, which is nice for if you don't get up to your max energy in time with this one skill, you'll be able to move slightly faster and get another turn pretty quickly. Then I'm going to skip it down here for a second to her ultimate, which is the big part of her kit because it's where we have the state change. So when you get her ultimate, which has a 240 energy cost, which seems massive if you look at it by itself, but as we saw from the skill, you do get 60% of your energy back per skill use, which is very nice. So when you use your ult, she'll enter the complete combustion state, and this is going to offer a bunch of different buffs to her. Firstly, you're going to get 100% action advance, so you'll automatically be able to take another turn, which is insanely good, very similar to how Jingliu's state works there. Then we also gain access to an enhanced basic attack and enhanced skill, which we'll go over in a moment here. And while you're in the complete combustion state, you get a 60 speed increase, so Firefly is going to be extremely fast, and you should pretty easily be able to break over 200 speed, and it should be very easy from there to get 3 actions in during this state. And during, depending if you get the state, at the beginning of a cycle, you could get 3 actions in a single cycle. And whenever you use the enhanced basic attack or skill, you're also going to get 50% extra break efficiency, which stacking that on top of Ruan Mei's extra break efficiency is going to be really good, and an extra 20% break damage per attack on the enemies, which is very nice. And the combustion state, as opposed to a character like Jingliu, which has charges, the complete combustion state is more similar to Jingyuan's like Lightning Lord, where it'll appear on the action order, and once it gets to the top of the action order, you will exit the state, and the countdown has a fixed speed of 70. And to put it into perspective, comparing it to Jingyuan's Lightning Lord, I believe has a fixed speed of 90. It's either 80 or 90, so this is even slower than that. So because of that, as long as you have enough speed, which I'm not sure of the exact number right now, but you should be able to get 3 turns on Firefly before you exit the state, which can be a ton of damage when played correctly. So now to talk about the enhanced attacks. So the enhanced basic attack will heal 20% of her max HP and deal fire damage to a single enemy. And once again, while this is better for sure than the regular basic attack, you're still not going to want to use it because the skill just has way more value for you. So for the skill, you're going to restore slightly more HP at 25%. You're going to apply fire weakness guaranteed to a single target enemy for 2 turns, and you're going to damage both that target enemy and adjacent enemies. So this is a blast attack with also the guaranteed weakness application for fire. And this damage does also scale off of break effect for this skill, which also makes it extremely good and way better than any other attack that she has on her kit. And the max break effect that can be taken into calculation here is 360%. Then for her talent, she's going to have an unconditional damage reduction, and this damage reduction scales with her HP, and when you are at 20% or less HP, you are at the maximum value of 40% damage reduction at trace level 10. And when you are in the complete combustion state, regardless of your HP, you're going to have the maximum damage reduction, and you're also going to get a 30% effect res buff. So it's going to be much harder for her to get debuff, which is very nice. And as we'll see, she also gets some extra effect res through her stat traces. Then if her energy is lower than 50% when the battle starts, she'll automatically regenerate to 50%. And when you do get to full energy, you're also going to dispel all debuffs on Firefly, so you won't have to worry about any debuffs while using your ultimate, which is super nice, honestly. And the extra energy to start is very nice, because always starting the battle at 50% means that as just a single use of her skill is going to get you 60%, which will get you your ultimate. So that is very good as well there. Then for a technique, which once again, I know I said in my last video about Firefly, but this is probably the coolest technique in the game right now, at least to me, is that Firefly goes into the Sam armor, jumps into the air, and basically launches down like a nuke onto the enemy, which will apply a fire weakness to all enemies on every single wave, which is pretty insane, to be honest, and will also deal fire damage to all enemies on the wave as well. So this technique is extremely good, and you probably should be using it every time you are using Firefly. Then to move on to her Ascension traces, which are also very good. So for her first Ascension trace, during complete combustion, when you attack enemies that have no fire weakness, you can also reduce their toughness at a rate of 55% of the original toughness reduction. This is insanely good too, because her enhanced skill is a blast, and since you don't apply the fire weakness to the adjacent enemies, you can still reduce their toughness through this trace here. So that's going to make her extremely universal. You can use her pretty much in any content as long as break is viable in that content. Then for her next major trace here, when Sam's in a complete combustion with a break effect that is equal to or greater than either 200% or 360%, attacking a weakness broken enemy will convert the toughness reduction into 1 instance of super break damage. This is really good because not only can you get super break now by pairing Sam with Harmony MC, which Harmony Trailblazer is going to be one of the best characters to have with Sam, but you're also going to get extra super break damage on top of it here. So you are going to be able to do a ton of damage because of this trace. And then, not to mention with the break effect being an insane part of the kit, we get to these last part of the major traces here. For every 10 attack that exceeds 1800, it's going to increase Sam's break effect by 0.8%. So because of this, and also building a, with the new break effect sets and having a break effect rope on Sam, you're going to be able to get some pretty high break effect numbers. Plus also being buffed by Harmony MC, and also being buffed if you have Ruan Mei as well. Then for the stat traces, you get 37% break effect, which is very nice, 5 speed, which is really good, because if we go down to the base stats, you are sitting at 104 for base, so the extra 5 speed would bring us to 109, and that means that you can hit 134 speed with just the speed boots and no substats. But you will want to have speed substats because you want to make sure you get enough speed with your current speed plus the ultimate, plus the ultimate's speed buff to try to have 3 actions before the combustion state ends. And then also you get 18% effect res, which is nice to have, less chance of getting debuffed. Then real quick to go over the Eidolons here. So for E1, when you use the enhanced skill, you get a 15% defense ignore, and then the enhanced skill also doesn't take skill points, which definitely makes her more SP, much better for SP, which is very nice. So she'll only be using skill points during her normal skill. So that's going to be a pretty nice quality of life, especially for E1, plus the extra damage, since super break and break damage, they do have some scaling from defense as well. Then for E2, when you use the enhanced basic attack or skill to defeat an enemy or cause them to be weakness broken, you will immediately gain an extra turn, and this can only affect trigger one after 1 turn. So you can't just link it together multiple times with multiple enemies, but this will give you a bunch more DPS, especially if you can weakness break those smaller enemies around the boss to get some really strong hits on the boss as well. Then E3 is scaling to the skill and basic attack. E4 gives an extra 50% effect res, which is pretty insane because if you have E4, you're getting 50% here during complete combustion, plus you're getting the 30% from here, so that's already 80, plus this trace, you're basically at 100% effect res at that point, which is actually insane. Then E5, you get scaling for ultimate and talent. Then at E6, when you're in complete combustion, you'll get a 20% fire res pen increase, which is great because you also have the weakness application. Then when using the enhanced basic attack or skill, you also get 50% more weakness break efficiency, which pairing this with the additional extra weakness break efficiency from the complete combustion state, plus if you're running Ruan Mei, you're going to be absolutely shredding those weakness bars. So now I want to answer the question of, for players who are able to pull more than one 5-star, because I've already talked in my last video about Firefly about if you are able to only pull one 5-star, but I do want to talk about it now, especially since we now have the description for Firefly's light cone, for the signature light cone. So I want to talk about, is it going to be better to pull for E1 or S1? And before I even give my answer between those two, I also want to say, if you're a player that does not have Ruan Mei and you're pulling for Firefly, having a Ruan Mei on that team, I think is going to be way more valuable than pulling for E1 or S1. So if you don't have Ruan Mei, prioritize getting her after you get your Firefly, because them on the team together, Firefly, Ruan Mei, Harmony, Trailblazer, that is an amazing team. And then of course Gallagher makes it even better too, but any sustain can do well on that team. So Ruan Mei is absolutely the first pick, but now for people who either have Ruan Mei or can, even pull after that, let's take a look at what this light cone does and I'll weigh in with my thoughts. So at S1 here, it's going to increase the wearer's break effect by 60%. And when the wearer deals break damage to an enemy target, inflicts routed on the enemy for 2 turns. And targets with routed will receive 24% increased break damage and will have a 20% speed debuff. So this definitely does give some, solid break effect, and also the routed debuff seems to be pretty good. But when comparing that to a 15% defense shred, and also the comfortability of not using skill points on your enhanced skill, I honestly have to give it to the E1. I think the E1 is going to be more valuable overall, not just because of that as well, but also when looking at, for one, the light cone options for Firefly, and then for 2, the difference between them. Because I did see from some of the early access videos, the damage difference between S1 Firefly's light cone and S5 Fall of an Aeon, which is a free-to-play light cone from the Herder shop. The damage difference is not enough for you to be like, okay, I need the light cone, right? So while this light cone would give you some extra comfort in building by giving you that extra break effect, I do think that the extra benefits from E1 with the defense shred and the enhanced skill not using skill points is just going to be an overall better decision. Now, both of them are still going to be very good for sure, but I just think if you have to choose between one of them, I think you're going to get the most mileage out of getting E1, because you can run Fall of an Aeon on her, or you can even run the Misha Light Cone, the Indelible Promise, which also gives an extra break effect too. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on the Firefly kit here. She definitely does have a very solid kit. I'm going to be so excited to pull for her. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you're going to be pulling for Firefly. But with that, everyone, I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button. The support is greatly appreciated. And I will see you all next time.